Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Just let me know if I'm audible and visible. I hope I'm visible far better than the previous times. Just upgraded the hardware. Just let me know in the chat section. I've opened up your chat. This is our Mission Mains 2023, where we at Shriram's IAS are making sure that the best of material and the best of faculties are available to you guys and are providing you with the best of resources, the best of material, and making sure that your efforts have जो वो कहते हैं ना कि जेट फ्यूल टैंक लगा दिया जाता है तो उसी तरीके से आपके एफर्ट्स को हम पुश कर रहे हैं. All right. Now, if you have been following us, then you would realize that me and Anshum sir on every Saturday and Sunday, every single weekend for your preparation to make sure that you guys are working well. Good morning, Ashish ji. Welcome to the class. Now, we have been working with you guys and for you guys to make sure that everything that you are doing becomes more and more relevant and is more in line with what mains preparation requires. So make sure that you keep watching these sessions till the end, because in these 2.5 hours in one single day, 5 odd hours in one weekend, me and Anshum sir from Sriram Zayas are going to make sure that you guys prepare well for your mains examination. Now, for whom is this session? ये सेशन किन लोगों के लिए? This session is for those individuals who are preparing for mains 2023, no doubt. But if you are preparing for the next year, that is 2024, then also you should be watching these sessions, because then you would realize how you should be preparing for prelims as well as mains. This session and all the sessions that we have taken, all the classes that we have taken on this in this particular effort of Mission Mains 2023, they are relevant for every student who's preparing for this year as well as next year, because you will get a very good idea, comprehensive idea. जिस चीज के लिए आपको शायद एक अटेम्प्ट खर्च करना पड़ सकता था, अब if you attend these sessions you would realize what is right and what is wrong, how to study any particular topic, right? So before any further ado, let's begin with our class. Before I begin with our session, I want to discuss a particular aspect, and that is this Mission Mains 2023 as well as Mission Mains 2024. Now, make sure that you are aware about all the initiatives that we are bringing at Sriram Dayas on an academy platform and otherwise as well, be it offline and online. Make sure that you have a very good idea about it, because for example, if you talk about this Mission Mains, or rather Mission 1 year with Sri Ram Dayas for UPSC 2024, if you look at it, this particular effort is for those students who are preparing for 2024. Now, if you're preparing for 2024, then you can get an instant 25% discount if you enroll at the earliest. Now, this batch is to start from 26th of July. This is just started. Make sure that you are a part of this batch. Go on and check out every single effort that we are bringing on an academy platform. This batch is available on an academy platform, number one. Number two, you can get an instant 25% discount. Make sure that you enroll in the course at the earliest. This is a foundation to advanced course. This is a one-stop solution for all preparation related problems, be it prelims, mains, and interviews. Particularly, you will get a 600 plus hours set of live classes for prelims and mains. One thing that you should know, of course, is that the referral code is SRIRAMS, that is Srirams. इस referral code को याद रखिएगा, and yes, make sure that you are a part of every single effort that we are bringing. श्रीराम सर को फॉलो कर लीजिएगा, मुझे भी अन अकेडमी पे फॉलो कर लीजिएगा, because we are bringing to you another important another important particular course, and that is on public administration. Now, Sriram's IAS has been working on making sure that every single optional subject that you are preparing, उसमें आप सब लोग बेहतर हो सके. In particular, when we talk about public administration, I assure you one thing, that from the day zero, not just day one, from day zero, you will be a part of a target that I have set out for all my students, and that is target 350 plus. And in that target 350 plus, we are going to make sure that you have best of knowledge, best of wisdom, and also best of information. I have written these terms in a reverse order for a particular reason. अगर आपके पास नॉलेज है तो ये मेरा काम है कि आप उसको विजडम में कन्वर्ट कर सकें, बिकॉज मेनी स्टूडेंट्स दैट आई गेट, they have already covered a certain portion of their syllabus and they have a basic idea about public administration. तो उस नॉलेज को विजडम में कन्वर्ट करना, नंबर वन. नंबर टू, when you have wisdom, then you need the right kind of information. आप सजेस्टिव बुक्स पढ़ते हैं, लेकिन उन बुक्स में से क्या इंफॉर्मेशन निकालनी है, किस तरीके से यूपीएससी वर्दी पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की नॉलेज को बनाना है, ये काम मेरा है. तो आप अगर इस बैच को एनरोल करते हैं, दिस इज अ बाइलिंगुअल बैच, अनलाइक द प्रीवियस वंस, दिस इज अ बाइलिंगुअल बैच. तो आप अभी फिलहाल इस कोर्स को अवेल करते हैं. वी स्टिल हैव टाइम. द बैच स्टार्ट्स ऑन 31st of July. You can get an instant 25% discount provided you use the referral code of SRIRAMS. All right. Now, one thing that you can make sure of, there is regular answer writing practice, there is regular doubt solving, there is regular updation of you guys with respect to the entire lot of information जो कि public administration से relevant है. तो आप लोगों ने इस चीज का खास ख्याल रखना है. एंड वन मोर थिंग दैट यू कैन रिमेंबर अपार्ट फ्रॉम द रेफरल कोड इज द फोन नंबर, दैट इज 8585858585, just in case you have any other queries. All right, चलिए, let's proceed further. We have got the basic information. अब आगे बढ़ते. आप सभी से रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू लाइक दिस वीडियो सेशन. क्लास को लाइक जरूर कर लीजिएगा और इसको शेयर कर दीजिएगा अपने दोस्तों के साथ. ऑलराइट, जस्ट अ ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन अबाउट माई सेल्फ. जो लोग पहली बार आ रहे हैं उन लोगों की जानकारी के लिए, दिस इज माई नेम, माई क्वालिफिकेशंस, माई ईयर्स ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस. अभी इसको 12 करना पड़ेगा कुछ ही हफ्तों के अंदर, एंड पार्टी होगी हमारी तरफ से, है ना. अच्छा, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट यू विल ऑल्सो हैव all these subjects that I have taken up. चलिए, we have to talk about a number of topics. Mains relevant होंगे, so make sure that you make notes. एक याद रखिएगा, एक प्रोसेस है मेंस के अंदर अच्छा स्कोर लेने का. वो प्रोसेस क्या है? यूज A4 sheets. Let me just change the color. Just give me a couple of seconds. Yes. You have to use A4 sheets. और इन A4 sheets के ऊपर आपने बेसिकली बाइफरकेशन कैसे करना है. बाइफरकेशन करना है आपने GS1, GS2, GS3 और GS4 के हिसाब से, राइट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द स्टफ दैट आई कवर पर्टिकुलरली इज रेलिवेंट फॉर GS1, GS3 एंड GS4. अंशुम सर प्रिडोमिनेंटली, विच इज अ बिग चंक, GS2 को हैंडल करते हैं और GS3 के कुछ कंपोनेंट्स को भी हैंडल करते हैं विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सिक्योरिटी चैलेंजेस इन वेरियस अदर टॉपिक्स. नाउ व्हाट यू हैव टू मेक श्योर इज दैट आप हर एक टॉपिक को जीएस के हिसाब से, जनरल स्टडीज 1, 2, 3, 4 के हिसाब से अलाइन कर दीजिए. और उस अलाइनमेंट के बाद आपने एक और चीज का ख्याल रखना है, दैट डू नॉट मेक साइनॉप्सिस ऑफ द टॉपिक. ये काम नहीं करना है. आपने नोट्स जो बनाने हैं वो यूपीएससी स्टाइल में बनाने हैं. दैट व्हाट इफ आई गेट अ 250 वर्ड क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम लिथियम आयन बैटरीज, सो यू शुड नोट डाउन ओनली दोज कंपोनेंट्स, ओनली दोज एस्पेक्ट्स जो कि आपके रेलिवेंट है. सिर्फ और सिर्फ वो चीजें जो आपको लगता है कि आप याद रख सकते हैं, जो कि आपको लगता है कि आपके लिए यूजेबल हो सकते हैं। ओनली दोज थिंग्स। ऑलराइट, चलिए नाउ लेट्स प्रोसीड फर्दर। एक तो फटाफट से इस सेशन को शेयर कर दीजिएगा। मेक श्योर दैट यू शेयर दिस सेशन, दिस क्लास विद एवरी इंडिविजुअल। हर किसी के साथ इसे शेयर कर दीजिएगा। हम्म, yep. और अगर मेरी आवाज ठीक से आ रही है सबको, तो प्लीज मुझे चैट सेक्शन में भी बता दीजिएगा। If I'm audible and visible to all, then also let me know. Now, let's talk about lithium ion batteries. वैसे recently, if you would have noticed, the prices for rice have been rising. Make sure that you note down the reasons for the rise in prices for rice, particularly, and what kind of a ban has the government put up with respect to the export of rice, because it is not a blanket ban. There are conditionalities, and I would suggest and recommend that students know about it. It is not on basmati rice, it is on the non basmati rice because of many reasons. Because you have more consumption of non basmati rice within the country, and आप basic, अगर आप non basmati rice की बात करें, चाहे वो किनकी है, चाहे वो टुकड़ा जिसको कह देते हैं, किनकी कह देते हैं, अलग अलग जगहों पर अलग अलग नाम से वो होता है। नॉन बासमती सेगमेंट है पूरा, उसमें बहुत सारे राइस की वेराइटीज होती हैं। इफ यू यूज दोज राइस, देन यू आर अ पार्ट ऑफ मे बी मिडिल क्लास, मे बी लोअर मिडिल क्लास, या फिर हम अगर नॉर्मल फैमिलीज की बात करें, आम तौर पर रेगुलर यूसेज की बात करें, तो नॉन बासमती राइस यूज होता है। कृष्णा जी, वेलकम टू द क्लास। अच्छा, नॉन बासमती राइस के ऊपर बैन लगाया है, एक्सपोर्ट के ऊपर, बासमती के ऊपर नहीं लगाया है। क्यों हुआ है? व्हाट इज द इंपैक्ट ऑफ रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर? इज देयर एनी ट्रीटी दैट इंडिया हैड साइंड, एंड व्हाट इज द इंपैक्ट? ये सारी चीजें इस टॉपिक से रिलेटेड है। मेक श्योर दैट यू नो अबाउट इट। ऑलराइट, नाउ let's talk about lithium ion batteries. Lithium ion batteries have been a part of our syllabus of our course for a very long time, and we have been working on it. In fact, where the government is looking for complete a blanket end to manufacturing of the traditional in ICE engine. ICE मतलब इंटरनल कंबशन इंजन मोटर व्हीकल्स, द टू व्हीलर्स। अब जो सरकार की मुहिम है वो ये है दैट दे वांट टू कन्वर्ट द टू व्हीलर सेगमेंट इनटू ईवी सेगमेंट, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स में कन्वर्ट करना चाह रहे हैं। नाउ इफ दैट इज द केस, then you would need lithium ion batteries, these solutions that we are hoping to get for climate change. But the problem is manifold. It is not just multifold, it is manifold. अब क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, किस किस तरीके से उन प्रॉब्लम्स का सॉल्यूशन आ सकता है, एंड व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इटसेल्फ। देयर आर टू साइड्स टू अ प्रॉब्लम। हमेशा याद रखिएगा, चाहे वो प्रीलिम्स है, चाहे मेंस है, एनी टॉपिक दैट यू आर कवरिंग with respect to economy, there are supply side challenges, then there is demand side challenges. If you talk about supply side challenges, lithium procurement, lithium cleaning process, या फिर lithium batteries की manufacturing की अगर बात की जाए, तो what are the challenges with respect to that aspect? Demand side की बात की जाए, तो how many are willing to give up, and what would happen to those old traditional internal combustion engine vehicles जो आप आज, आप और मैं, हम लोग चला रहे हैं, be it the petrol engine, be it the diesel engine. 10 years की passing, 15 years की passing, which is basically your registration for the vehicle, RC बनती है ना आपकी, तो वो RC जो गाड़ी की बनती है वो कितने साल तक वैलिड है? बट उस 10 साल के बाद, 15 साल के बाद क्या उस आरसी का होने वाला है, दैट इज द डिमांड साइड चैलेंज. Similarly, the demand side challenge would be based on the fact that we as Indians have not yet received the basic amenity of electricity to 100% extent. We do not have electricity supply 24/7, 365 days a year. What would happen if we convert the entire mobility segment into electric vehicles? How would we ensure charging stations? Would we need to reignite the coal fired power plants for electricity production, where we are trying to phase out towards the renewable energy sector, which is not yet enough to be recouping, to be able to help us survive through the difficult times? So how would you ensure availability of your electricity? So that is the demand side problem, not just the supply side problem, है ना? तो इन सब बातों से रिलेटेड आपको चीजें समझनी होंगी. So you will have to break down every single topic. If you do that with every single topic, then your thoughts will get very strategically aligned. उस थॉट प्रोसेस के साथ जब आप आंसर्स लिखते हैं, देन यू स्कोर मोर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, someone who's writing bare simple answer and someone who's structured the answer in a way that it is easier for the examiner to understand, एग्जामिनर को अच्छे से समझ में आ जाए, उस तरीके से आंसर लिखा जाए, that is going to fetch you far more marks. All right, and that is what our efforts are aligned towards as well. चलिए, just give me a couple of seconds. Everything is working fine at this end. Yes. Chaliye. Krishna ji, welcome to the class. Now, as far as lithium ion batteries are concerned, you have seen a huge growth with respect to lithium ion batteries. Huge growth. But there are certain challenges. In India particularly, there have been reports of fatality and material loss due to the fire from lithium ion batteries. The topic that we are discussing is basically aligned with the challenges of supply side, which have posed a threat on the demand side. अभी बहुत समय से ऐसा नोट किया जा रहा है that there have been loss of life, लोग मर रहे हैं, and material loss as well has been happening because lithium ion batteries have been catching fire. Now, if the lithium ion batteries are catching fire, or if there have been fire due to lithium ion batteries, that means that the technology that we are using is not top notch. It's not just about India. It is not just about India. In many other parts, we are still in a very initial stage when it comes to lithium ion batteries. मैं टेस्ला की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट टेस्ला. But if you want to convert the entire mobility sector into electric vehicle, you will have to have, for example, medicine में क्या होता है? In case of medical sciences, in case of medicine industry, pharmaceutical industry, you do not just have the ethical drugs, you also have your third party manufactured drugs. You also have your basically जो आप ओरिजिनल ड्रग से, ओरिजिनल मेडिसिन से एक फर्स्ट कॉपी ड्रग बनाते हैं. व्हाट इज इट कॉल्ड? मुझे चैट सेक्शन में बताइए. It is a big market in India and India exports a lot of these drugs. There is a keyword that is associated with it. मुझे बताइएगा चैट सेक्शन के अंदर उन ड्रग्स को, उन मेडिसिन को क्या नाम दिया जाता है. चलिए. Now, when it comes to lithium ion batteries, what are these lithium ion batteries? Lithium ion, basically. So that means that the aqueous electrolyte solution that they are using is based out of lithium ion. What happens is that the ions, what are ions? Ions are basically charged particles. They form because of addition or subtraction of electrons from any atom. Generally it is an atom, लेकिन ions की बात की जाए, lithium ion है for example, there can also be chlorate ion, for example. So there can also be certain molecules which have a tendency to accept electrons, तो वो इलेक्ट्रॉन ऐड करके नेगेटिवली चार्ज हो जाते हैं या फिर इलेक्ट्रॉन लूज करके पॉजिटिवली चार्ज हो जाते हैं। वेलकम टू द क्लास, एक्सीलेंट क्लासेस, थैंक यू। आपका नाम है बट मैं इसको एज अ कॉम्प्लीमेंट ले रहा हूं, ठीक है। चलिए, नाउ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स can be removed or added. So this is basic science, general science है ये। This you might have studied when you were studying your NCERTs of sciences. All right. Now, similarly, if you have lithium ions, which means you have lithium atom, and lithium atom because it is a metal, तो metals जो हैं वो generally lose करते हैं electrons, they get positively charged. That means when they get positively charged, that means they are losing negative charge. Negative charge को lose करेंगे तभी positive होंगे। दीपक जी, welcome to the class. I will be talking to you today, hopefully, at after my 10 p.m. class. 10 बजे क्लास, 10 बजे तक क्लास है आज मेरी, तो आज की क्लास के बाद आपसे बात करूंगा। आई हैव सीन योर मैसेजेस। जय हिंद जी, जय हिंद, वेलकम टू द क्लास। नाउ, so when lithium loses an electron, it becomes positively charged. जितने electrons lose होते हैं उतना ही positive charge हो जाता है, जितने electrons add होते हैं उतना ही negative charge हो जाता है। Now lithium ion batteries, they are basically using an aqueous means based on water, electrolyte solution है where ions transfer to and from एनोड से अपने कैथोड की तरफ। सो फ्रॉम नेगेटिव इलेक्ट्रोड टुवर्ड्स पॉजिटिव इलेक्ट्रोड। अगर इलेक्ट्रोड नेगेटिव है तो उसके पास नेगेटिव चार्ज ज्यादा होगा, और अगर इलेक्ट्रोड पॉजिटिव है तो उसके पास पॉजिटिव चार्ज ज्यादा होगा। सो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स मूव बिकॉज दे हैव अ टेंडेंसी टू मूव फ्रॉम नेगेटिव साइड टू पॉजिटिव साइड। सो एनोड से कैथोड की तरफ आपके इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जाते हैं। रिमेंबर दिस, दिस इज समथिंग दैट इज रेलिवेंट फॉर योर प्रीलिम्स प्रिपरेशन। मेंस में ये सब पूछा नहीं जाएगा, बट आपको ये बेसिक आइडिया होना चाहिए। वेलकम राम कुमार जी, वेलकम टू द क्लास। नाउ यू शुड हैव दिस बेसिक आइडिया। दिस इज रेलिवेंट फॉर प्रीलिम्स बिकॉज द काइंड ऑफ डिटेल्स दैट दे हैव बीन आस्किंग इन प्रीलिम्स, दिस बिकम्स इंपॉर्टेंट। ऑलराइट, चलिए, नाउ ये बेसिक आइडिया लिया, इसके बाद let's talk about the basic features of lithium ion batteries. Number one, they are smaller in size. Because they are smaller in size, they can certainly have, they can be packed more, they can provide more electricity, they can provide more energy to the mobility solutions that we are seeking from the electric vehicles. So that is why it is easier to use. Number two, they are light in weight. Not like me, of course, but they are very light in weight. Then they are affordable compared to other electric solutions. For example, if I were to create an aqueous solution of सोडियम क्लोराइड, कॉमन सॉल्ट होता है, घर का नमक होता है, उसको अगर आप पानी में मिक्स कर देते हैं, उसमें एनोड एंड कैथोड, यू डिप इट इन द सॉल्यूशन, देन देयर कैन बी फ्लो ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. But how much of common salt, how much of that NaCl would be required to produce 1 volt of potential difference or 1 volt equivalent of current? 1 EV के बराबर का, 1 EV के बराबर का करंट अगर फ्लो करवाना है तो उसमें कितना सॉल्ट लग जाता है? बहुत ज्यादा लग जाता है. And that is why it is far more affordable to have lithium ion batteries. Then it has the ability to sustain multiple charge cycles. Because many batteries, if you look at it, for example, the battery that I use for this camera, it is a lithium ion battery and it has a very good, ये यूपीएससी है बेटा, यूपीएससी, यहां पर सक्सेस होता है, लर्निंग्स होती है, फिजूल की बातें नहीं होती. नाउ एबिलिटी टू सस्टेन multiple charge cycles is one of the basic features. Because if you are using it in electric mobility, if you are using it in electric cars, then certainly you would want to charge your car every single day so that you can move during the day. 500 किलोमीटर की भी अगर रेंज है किसी इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल की, which is of course not the case for many vehicles. एक दिन का commute आपका 120-150 किलोमीटर से जनरली ज्यादा नहीं होता है, and that is why you need charging stations. For that reason, the supply side challenge, if you remember, I had told you about the different types of challenges, the demand side, the supply side challenges. This is the supply side challenge, how to make sure that the batteries that we are creating have a multiple charge cycle capability. Because most of the times what happens is, see, this is anode, this is cathode. Electrons are moving like this. This is the normal discharging function. This is the discharging function. Now, when you are to charge the electrodes again, then you have to re-push the electrons from the cathode to the anode back again. Now, what happens is, many a times there are TND losses for electrons, transmission and distribution losses. So, such losses generally tend to accumulate on the cathodes and the anodes. This is, say, cathode, this is the anode. Now, generally what happens is, there is a coating that happens on the cathode and the anode tends to slimmer down because उसमें से मटेरियल निकल कर जाता है, और कैथोड मोटी होती जाती है बिकॉज उसके ऊपर मटेरियल सेटल डाउन हो जाता है. एंड फॉर दैट रीजन इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू, दिस इज डिस्चार्जिंग. Discharging means that you are using the battery. It is very difficult to redo this and to push back the entire material to anode so that आप उसको दोबारा से यूज कर सकें. Multiple charging, discharging cycles are not possible for many batteries, and that is why chargeable batteries are costlier. अगर आप rechargeable बैटरी यूज करते हैं ना तो वो महंगी इसीलिए आती है because of the ability. And if you look at it, if you would look at the paper, if you would look at the paper that basically covers the entire battery, you would notice that there are a couple of things that are mentioned: the charge, the voltage difference that it offers, and also the different possibilities of your charging cycles, recharging cycles. So it says 1000 recharge cycles, that means you can recharge the battery 1000 times. बेटा NCRTs पढ़ के आओ तो सब समझ में आएगा, right? And this is for those students who are preparing for mains. Maybe that is the reason आपका अभी बेस नहीं बना होगा तो इस वजह से समझ नहीं आया, है ना? No issues. चलो, now high energy density, that means that it can provide you with a good level of potential difference. What is the potential difference? Something that is mentioned in volts. So the voltage difference, if the batteries can offer you higher and better voltage difference, that means that they can offer you more electricity, more possibility of having better energy solutions. अदरवाइज अगर वोल्टेज डिफरेंस एक सिंगल बैटरी सेल जो कि जनरली 1.5 वोल्ट का होता है, 1.5 वोल्ट्स के आसपास का होता है, या बिगर दी बैटरी 2.5 वोल्ट्स के आसपास का होता है, इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी इनफ टू रन योर कार इक्विवेलेंट टू अ 1.5 diesel engine or 1.5 petrol engine. Not even that. You have 150 bhp and 250 nm of torque. This level of energy that you require in your cars, in your vehicles, is not going to be provided by such basic minimum voltage batteries, and that is where lithium ion batteries work well. But that is not the end of story. The problem lies with also the safety component, the issues of burning of lithium, or because of lithium ion batteries. What are the security challenges, rather the safety challenges? In India, they have mentioned that there has been a report that there have been fatalities. Fatality means there are people who have died because of the fire, and there has been material loss with respect to lithium ion batteries. There has been a rise of these cases, and we have to make sure that these concerns which are around the sustainability and the life cycle management of lithium ion batteries that are addressed. So what are the challenges and how to cope with these issues? वी हैव गॉटन द बेसिक आइडिया, बेसिक नॉलेज हमने समझ ली है। अब थोड़ा सा बेहतर, थोड़ा आगे बढ़ते। Let's talk about the challenges and what is the solution to these challenges. Number one thing, the challenges of the ever increasing demand, the demand for metals is increasing. In fact, there was a report by many industrialists, of course they were lobbyists for वो ना, उनको कहते हैं, they are lobbyists. ये कौन होते हैं? ये वो लोग होते हैं those who want to have their type of policy being implemented. So certain lobbyists have come up with certain reports which suggests that lithium extraction from mines and its purification process, the metallurgical processes of lithium to make sure that this lithium gets converted into lithium ion batteries, LIBs basically. It is not a very environment friendly process. In fact, it is far more impactful on the environment in a negative sense. It is impacting the environment in the negative sense far more than the extraction of petrol and diesel. It is not a cleaner fuel. The end result may be a bit more cleaner, but to reach that end result, which is the electric vehicles or replacing the traditional fuels, उस चीज के अंदर no doubt it is far better, but the extraction process, the purification process itself is not as clean as we think it is, and that is where the problem lies in the supply side as well. So there have been reports by lobbyists in that regard. Further, you have the challenge to make sure that the supply itself, Krishna ji, please focus. The supply itself is to be ensured. How would you ensure the supply of lithium ion batteries to the last mile consumer, the person who is sitting in a remote village of India? इंडिया के किसी एक रिमोट विलेज में कोई एक व्यक्ति बैठा है, उस तक उस लिथियम आयन बैटरी को पहुंचाना और उसके अफोर्डेबिलिटी को इंश्योर करना is also a challenge, so that the end result is far better. Because the problem is that we think that we are shifting towards electric mobility, but the problem is that we are not exactly shifting towards electric mobility. We are just replacing the new registrations with electric vehicles, and that too is not to the extent of 100%. वो 50% से भी ऊपर नहीं है, वो काफी कम है. You should go on the internet today after this. This is your homework, and you have to check that what is the extent of EV registration versus the traditional vehicles. How many traditional vehicles are being bought and how many electric vehicles have been bought? To give you a context, where a traditional vehicle can be bought at 10 lakh rupees, 15 lakh rupees, you might have to give an additional amount of 10 lakh rupees to get an electric vehicle. सस्ते से सस्ता इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल भी 15 से 20 लाख के आसपास की रेंज का पड़ जाता है. That means you have to still work on the affordability. Maybe lithium ion batteries are affordable, but that does not make lithium ion battery based electric vehicles affordable. So there is a challenge of affordability. There is a challenge of affordability with respect to electric vehicles, क्योंकि end result, the end of cycle usage of lithium ion batteries is basically electric vehicles. और electric vehicles कितने हो सकते हैं, कितनी registrations हो रही हैं? Just go on and check the 2022 or maybe even the 2023 first half or the quarterly sales of vehicles in India or registration of vehicles in India. How much, what percentage of electric vehicles were sold? Is it rising year on year basis or not? You can check that as well. So you have to note down this data. This is your homework. Okay, ये चीज नोट करनी है. राम कुमार, कृष्णा जी, दीपक, एवरीबडी, आई होप यू नो दिस. चलिए, ये होमवर्क है आपका, नोट डाउन कर लीजिए. चलिए, नाउ फर्दर environmental sustainability solutions to deal with the mountains of garbage that will be created by the end of life batteries. What happens when the recharging does not happen? What happens when you have to discard these batteries? The electric waste or the electronic and electric waste, the e-waste that is to be generated, the pile, the mounds. In Delhi itself, you have three places where these mounds have existed for years now. Or usko, this is the mounts that I am talking about, is biodegradable and non biodegradable waste. What if you add to it another mound, another mountain of the waste that is created from lithium ion batteries? How will you manage that? How will you recycle that? India today, this is another challenge, that India today is becoming a hub, and it is not a very good thing. What is happening is that people in India have come up with business solutions where we try to pick up rag, we try to pick up the discarded waste material from the Middle Eastern countries, from other countries, including China, and that e waste is imported into India. It is recycled, it is bifurcated, it is reconverted into usable products, and then sold into the market. The problem, it seems to be a very good thing, अच्छी चीज लग रही है कि हम we are a hub for e-waste solutions. India today is becoming a hub. Yes, like e-rickshaws. What will happen with the e-waste? The problem is that when we pick up e-waste from the rest of the world, we then siphon it, or rather we sift it through various processes, उसको clean करते हैं, उसमें से चीजें निकालते हैं. But what happens to the end of line waste? Because there still will be some waste that is left out. It is not 100% recycling process. कुछ ना कुछ उसमें pending रह जाता है, बच जाता है. What would happen to those things? It ends up as landfill, it ends up as piles of junk on Indian soil. It is degrading Indian soil and the environment. So that means that if we are looking at a business opportunity or a business prospect of e-waste management, we are making India a hub. If we are making India a hub of e-waste solutions, even then there are problems for India with respect to environment and sustainability. Then there is the challenge of partial recovery of metals from the recycling process. When you talk about recycling process, it does not give you 100% efficiency. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप मान लीजिए, if you are, say for example, to recycle this electric waste, ये waste नहीं है, but if you are to recycle this electric waste, right? In that sense, it is not true that you will recreate it or refurbish it. 100% efficiency, which is based on the idea, the philosophy of Z scheme, zero effect, zero defect scheme, or a circular economy process. We are wanting to create a circular economy, but we are yet far away from this utopian ideal. Zero effect, zero defect scheme says that you manufacture at the MSME level. आप ऐसे manufacture कीजिए products so that it has zero effect on the climate and it has zero defect as well. So the quality is also improved. But the problem is at the end of line. The phrase that is used is the end of line. What does it mean? It means, for example, if someone is dying, that is the end of line time for that person. वो last period है, वो last moment है उस individual के लिए. Similarly, if the product, if any device is about to be shifted out of its usability, for example, there used to be mobile phones. वो छोटे नोकिया के mobile phones होते थे, आज दिखते ही नहीं. The end of line was the last mobile phone or the last set of mobile phones that were being used. Today, it is no longer seen. Maybe with some grandparents of yours, maybe with a couple of elderly in the household, वहां पर आपको शायद दिख जाए बूढ़े बुजुर्गों के पास जिन्होंने सिर्फ फोन सुनना होता है, उनके पास आपको ये सिंपल मोबाइल फोन दिख सकता है. बट आजकल वो भी दे आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स स्मार्टफोन्स. So they have had their end of line. So these mobile phones, what is going to happen with products like these? It is not 100% recycling capability, and most of the recycling processes and the practices that are followed, they are partial recovery processes. Let me tell you an example. A friend of mine works in this industry. हमारी हम I am a chemical engineer as well. So many friends of mine, they are working in e-waste solutions and waste solutions. Biodegradable waste plants हैं उनके, सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स हैं, effluent treatment plants, ETPs बोलते हैं उनको, effluent treatment plants. Effluent is basically that material that is pushed out or exited or basically thrown away in the industry. So it generally ends up in the streams. तो उसको treat करने का काम है उनका. Now let me tell you one thing. None of these plants has 100% capability. A friend of mine works in the e-waste business, electric waste, electronic waste business. Now what do? They basically purchase the old computers, personal computers, PCs, laptops, etc. They break open the plastic material. They sell the plastic material to plastic recycling. Then they open up the chips. They open up the chipset, the Intel chipset inside the the processor, the microprocessor, the motherboard. They break it open. Then they start scraping off the entire set of essential metals from there. There are good amount of materials used like platinum, like rhodium, like gold as well, gold included, that is used in these particular machines जिनको आप computers बोलते हैं. तो वो उसको recycle करते हैं and from there they make their money. That is the problem. The problem is that you do not get the 100%. The recycling abilities are not efficient and they are not effective. That is the problem. Further, there is little economic incentive, only little economic incentive. It means that there is a very limited benefit for recyclers to recover the low margin metals from the discarded waste. Not many individuals, for example, there might be usage of brass, there might be usage of bronze, there might be usage of copper, there might be usage of aluminium, there might be usage of say iron. In सबकी usability होते हुए भी many of these materials जो तो recycle में अच्छा दाम दे सकते हैं, the ones that you get good money for, they are recycled. The rest is thrown away as is. It ends up in the landfills. कहां पर? Landfills में मिलता है फिर वो आपको. What is a landfill? Basically an area where dumping happens. Dumping ground, dumping sites, वहां पर मिलता है फिर. Because not enough efforts were put in. There is little economic incentive for that. Number of man hours being put to get rid of all that material. Maybe aluminum is usable, maybe iron is usable, but not all kinds of metals or non-metals that are found. That is the problem. Now, further, you have to ensure sustainability and life cycle management of lithium ion batteries. The problem with the process that we are following is that we are thinking that we once move towards lithium ion batteries, once we move towards electric mobility, that is the end of all problems. It is not. It is the beginning of newer set of challenges and problems, including the fact that according to predictions, the volume of end of life batteries is likely to be 7,05,000 tons in 2025. You keep moving towards electric mobility. आप बार बार electric mobility की बात कर रहे हैं. There is a challenge of this electric waste. About 9 million tons, which is 90 lakh tons of waste generated just by lithium ion batteries. What would you do then? As far as long-term sustainability solutions are concerned, depending upon primary mineral resources, mines, etc., रिसाइकलिंग विल बी द की। माइनिंग प्रोसेस के अंदर भी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, वो चैलेंजेस मैंने आपको बताया। लाइक ट्रेडिशनल प्रैक्टिसेस, design of electric vehicles is integrated generally with that of battery and its components. The entire electric vehicle, all good guys? Just make sure that you refresh. I'm typing it in the chat section. Make sure that you refresh. Everything will be working fine. Everything is working fine from my end as well. Just give me a couple of seconds. Let me sort a couple of things. Yes, it is working. रिफ्रेश हुआ होगा कुछ, मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ द इंटरनेट इशू। बाकी तो सब सॉर्टेड है ना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। चलिए, थैंक यू कृष्णा जी। चलिए, नाउ long term solutions with respect to sustainability depends primarily on the mineral resources that are available. Do we have enough mines? अपने पास इतनी माइंस हैं, अपने पास इतना रॉ मटेरियल है? At my end as well, the weather is not too good. The raw material, what is the raw material? Lithium. Very recently we found that India has one of the largest reserves of lithium, and it is lithium prospects. Why do I call it prospects? Because we have not yet mined, we have not yet started mining. When prospecting was happening, जब हम ढूंढ रहे थे वेरियस रिसोर्सेज, तो लिथियम रिजर्व्स हमें मिले हैं। ऐसा लगता है, ऐसा पता चलता है दैट वी हैव लिथियम रिसोर्सेज, बट द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट वी हैव टू स्टिल वर्क ऑन द अवेलेबिलिटी एंड द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ एक्सट्रैक्टिंग लिथियम फ्रॉम दीज माइंस. Where have we found in India these lithium reserves? It is not just one place. Find out about it, and this is your homework. If you do it right now, that let me know in the chat section. Where all do we have lithium reserves? It is very important a topic. You will find it in the next year prelims examination. 2024 में prelims में आपको ये topic दिखेगा. Okay, चलिए further. So you have the problems with respect to the supply side. Now one thing is the design of electric vehicles being integrated with that of the battery with respect to the components. You can create a battery, but then you will have to design the electric vehicle around the design of that battery. Number one thing. Number two, customization is limited. Can you create swappable battery solutions and options? That is not a possibility as of now. For example, अगर मैं बात करता हूं, say you use any remote control, say for example this remote control, the batteries that are being used, you may use one set of batteries, you may use different set of batteries, as long as the specifications are the same. आप किसी भी कंपनी की बैटरी को यूज कर सकते हैं. But as of now, is this possible for electric vehicles? It is not. So that is again a problem, a challenge. Connectivity requirements. For example, just to give you a brief example about it, you can get your petrol or diesel for your vehicles from any petrol pump, be it BPCL, be it HPCL, be it Indian, rather Indian Oil, be it Reliance, be it Shell. You can get it from any petrol pump, right? But can you do that for electric vehicles? You may charge the electric vehicle from anywhere. चाहे वो कोई भी चार्जिंग स्टेशन है, कंपैटिबिलिटी है, तो कहीं पे भी चार्ज कर सकते हैं. But can you change the batteries from one company to another, right now that is not an option. Chalo. Electric vehicles need an accelerated go to market approach. One thing that makes Tata as a company, as a mobility company, a very strong player in the Indian market is the possibility of availability of spare parts. Spare parts easily available ho jate hain. Is that a possibility for, say, your electric vehicles? It is not. Government measures need to be towards mitigating the environmental challenges, social challenges, financial aspects with respect to lithium ion battery waste as well. It is not supposed to be only at the end of the supply side. डिमांड साइड के एंड पर भी जो एंड ऑफ लाइफ प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं उनको भी टेकअप करना पड़ेगा. एंड फॉर दैट रीजन government has come up with the battery waste management rules of 2022. These rules have covered a wide range of problems with respect to batteries, and in fact not just lithium ion batteries, many kind of batteries. Further, there is a mechanism that has been talked about, and that is EPR, that is extended producer responsibility. The one who is producing will have an extended responsibility to increase accountability with respect to the battery manufacturers. This needs to assume that when it comes to collection, refurbishment होता है. Say for example, if you are using a mobile phone, उस mobile phone को आप बेच देते, when you sell it off, then someone at that end refurbishes it, cleans it up, and creates it into something which is newer, which is cleaner and easier to use for the other person. And you can go on the Amazon app, you can go to Flipkart, and you can find refurbished laptops, refurbished mobile phones, and many other devices as well. These refurbished products are basically second hand products vetted by the company. मतलब कंपनी कह रही है कि मैंने ठीक किया है, and all original parts हैं, सब कुछ साफ सुथरा है, अच्छा है. You can reuse it. This is basically one step. Refurbishment is a step closer towards circular economy. The problem with the circular economy and with respect to refurbishment is the mindset that Indians generally have, generally, not always, the fact that they want to own it. They want to purchase things which are new, which are fresh, which are untouched. ऐसा सोचा होता है हर किसी ने कि मैं नई चीज लूंगा, नई गाड़ी लूंगा, नया मोबाइल फोन लूंगा, second hand नहीं लूंगा. Of course, if the budget does not allow, then they end up purchasing second hand products, and even post second hand, third hand, fourth hand products भी खरीद लेते हैं. But the problem is with this mindset where it is a challenge for refurbished industry. Achha. Further, the recycling of these batteries, that will also be a challenge. So these aspects of lithium ion batteries particularly, and the responsibility to take care of this is called EPR, extended producer responsibility, because the government has thought of putting the responsibility and accountability on the manufacturers rather than the consumer. नहीं तो हमारे ऊपर अगर जिम्मेदारी, हम एंड ऑफ लाइन कंज्यूमर हैं, हमारे ऊपर अगर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आती है, then we would have been responsible to recycle, collect, refurbish, and remove it from waste. So that was not possible for every individual. So it is supposed to be done by the manufacturers. This move is, of course, supposed to accelerate the development of infrastructure as well with respect to waste collection, recycling. It also create jobs, and it will, help you improve recycling rates at around 5 to 9% as it stands today. So if you do this, if you implement these rules, if you implement this policy of EPR, then you can improve the efficiency by 5 to 9%. This is not enough. That again is a challenge. So what can be done? Some things that can be done is, of course, you can mandate some things. आप जबरदस्ती बोल दीजिए अपने इंडस्ट्री को, create a policy that there is supposed to have a minimum percentage of recycled material in all products. Then this will open doors to find newer technologies that can be adopted in the recycling industry. Further, you will have to accelerate development of the circular economy. There is a constant push to move towards, cradle to cradle move towards infinite loop approach. What does it mean? Do you know what is a cradle? Cradle is that jhula, that, you know, that palana in which babies are kept at night during the day just to soothe them, है ना? जो बच्चों को रखने के लिए पालना यूज होता है उसे क्रेडल कहते हैं. There is also one topic for essays that has been coming for about 30-40 years now, बार बार रिपीट हो जाता है यूपीएससी के अंदर, and that is the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. This is a topic for essays. इसको नोट डाउन कर लीजिएगा, काम में आए. Now, what does it mean? It means basically that mother is the one who's rocking the cradle. Rocking the cradle means जो बच्चे को ऐसे पालने में इस तरीके से हिलाते हैं ताकि वो सो सके. तो the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. It is the women, the mothers who are ruling the world. This is a topic for essays. It is not just about women empowerment. It is a very broad and a very good topic. इसको note down कर लीजिएगा. बहुत बार आया है, बहुत बार आया है. And many people don't understand what the topic is. Many people have issues with respect to writing down. They end up writing down about women empowerment. ये topic सिर्फ women empowerment से related नहीं है. It is also the relevance of women in our lives. तो बहुत broad context है इसका. अच्छा, number one thing, cradle to cradle means that starting point the product was created, end point the product की usability, the usability of the product ends, right? What they are saying is that if you have an infinite loop, then it means that it is not just still here. Then you recycle it and refurbish it, and then back again the same product ends up being in the cradle. वो वापस से reuse होने के लायक हो जाता है, and that is cradle to cradle infinite loop. This context, if you use in your answers, आंसर राइटिंग के अंदर अगर आप इस फ्रेज को यूज करते हैं, इट विल एड वैल्यू टू योर आंसर्स. Make sure that you note it down. Now, what is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal, of course, is to meet all the sustainability problems, sustainability goals, deploy newer technologies, best practices in the industry, reduce dependency on primary ores, minerals, etc., so that you are recycling the usability. रिसाइकल कर रहे हैं, नई माइनिंग, नए प्रोसेसेस को कम कर रहे हैं, तो आप नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज के ऊपर डिपेंडेबिलिटी लिमिट कर रहे हैं. फर्दर, you are also partially, improving the partial recovery of metals or export of black powder, which is basically crushed battery waste. Remember this phrase, black powder. It is not the powder of coal. कोयले के पाउडर को ब्लैक पाउडर नहीं बोल रहे हैं, बैटरीज के वेस्ट को क्रश करके जब आप एक्सपोर्ट या इंपोर्ट करते हैं, दैट इज नोन एज ब्लैक पाउडर. फर्दर, a strong collaboration amongst innovators, technologists, policymakers, governments, academia, industry, that is also needed to make sure that this EV revolution, there is a huge gap with respect to supply side problems, demand side problems. This gap has to be meted out, and this huge gap between technology readiness has to be addressed through policy solutions as well as new innovations. Chalo. Moving towards the next topic, and that is rights of persons with disabilities. दिव्यांग जन, उनके rights की बात करते हैं, चर्चा करते हैं. Just give me a couple of seconds because I want to give you a question that you can practice with respect to the previous topic. इससे related means में कहाँ question आ सकता है? The question will come up in GS3, maybe in GS2 as well, but it will sound similar. Similar सा होगा, ज़्यादा different नहीं होगा. तो I am creating a question for both these components. Just give me a couple of seconds. If you think that there can be a question in GS1, it will be relating to lithium mining. That can come up in GS1. So I'll give you this question as well. इसकी भी practice आप कर सकेंगे, ऐसा मैं आपको question दे रहा हूँ. Just note this down and write down the answer to this question as well. If you are following us, then you certainly have very basic idea about where you can contact everybody else. You should also make sure, I'm going to share the link for the Telegram channel with you guys that Shriram's IS has on on Telegram. If you go to the description of this video after the class, make sure that you go to the description of the video. You will find the Unacademy UPSC Articulate Telegram channel link. Then you will also find the links for various batches. ठीक है जी, एक बार इन बैचेस को जाकर देखिएगा जरूर. देन ऑल्सो मेक श्योर दैट यू गो फर्दर डाउन. यू विल फाइंड श्रीराम सर्स प्रोफाइल पेज. You will find the link of Sriram sir's profile on Unacademy platform. You will find the link for my profile as well. मेरा नाम सर्च करेंगे अनअकैडमी के ऊपर तो वैसे भी आ जाएगा, श्रीराम सर का नाम सर्च करेंगे तब वैसे भी आ जाएगा. ऑल्सो वेरियस स्पेशल क्लासेस एंड प्लस कोर्सेज दैट वी हैव डिलीवर्ड, उसके लिंक्स भी यहाँ पर अवेलेबल हैं. स्पेशल क्लासेस आर फ्री फॉर एवरीबडी. वो फ्री होती हैं, हर किसी के लिए होती हैं. टू गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल, टू गिव यू अ कॉन्टेक्स्ट, टुडे इटसेल्फ I will have three special classes. Three special classes. Make sure that you attend those free special classes, particularly for one reason, that it is relevant for you to understand what kind of optional you should choose. तो आज वो क्लासेस होने वाली हैं, कल भी क्लास होगी. हमारा बैच आ रहा है पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का. फॉर दैट रीजन बाइलिंगुअल बैच होगा पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में. कंटेंट इंग्लिश में रहेगा, लेकिन मैं एक्सप्लेन इसी तरीके से करूंगा जैसे मैं अभी कर रहा हूं. सो इट विल नॉट बी अ प्योर इंग्लिश बैच, इट विल बी अ बाइलिंगुअल बैच इन दैट सेंस. एंड फर्दर, if you follow us on an academy, then also you will get access to other special classes that are happening. Special classes मतलब special इसलिए हैं because it is free for everybody. Free है सबके लिए. So you should attend. I will share the links of the class on various Telegram groups that we are a part of, on various channels as well. Make sure that you follow those links. अगर आज समय है तो उन क्लासेस को अटेंड जरूर कीजिए. ठीक है जी, चलिए. Now, let's proceed further and write down the question that is relevant for this particular topic. So, question for GS1 particularly, पहले GS1 से related. Discuss the impact of reports of finding new reserves of lithium in India. नए रिजर्व्स मिले इंडिया के अंदर, उसका क्या बेनिफिट है? ऑलराइट, दिस कैन बी अ वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन. ज्योग्राफी में अगर मिनरल रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस आते हैं तो इसी तरीके के सिंपल क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, नॉट टू डिफिकल्ट. फर्दर, आई एम गिविंग यू नाउ अ क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज रेलेवेंट फॉर GS2 एंड GS3. पहले GS2 का दे देता हूं. डिस्कस द need for policy overhauling with respect to, this is WRT, with respect to. शॉर्ट में मैंने लिखा है, आप शॉर्ट फॉर्म्स नहीं यूज करेंगे आंसर्स में. with respect to electric mobility, question mark. Also analyze the challenges ahead, question mark. Another question. All these questions are for your practice. आप लोगों की प्रैक्टिस के लिए हैं. Make sure that you keep following these questions. आप इन questions को answers भी लिखा कीजिए. Alright? चलो. I am also doing one thing. I'm sharing the link of my profile on Unacademy. उसको follow जरूर कर लीजिएगा. ठीक है जी? चलिए. Now, I've shared it in the chat section. Just a second. Yep. GS3 से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन विजिबल है सबको? नहीं तो इसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लीजिएगा और अपने पास रख लीजिएगा. क्वेश्चन है, आंसर्स लिखना है. नाउ, critically analyze the supply side challenges in universalizing electric mobility in India. बस इतना. Right? So all these questions 200 words plus minus 10 words 20 words but 200 words के आसपास इसका आंसर लिखना आप. ठीक है जी? चलते हैं आगे. एक बार इसको नोट डाउन कर लीजिए, देन वील प्रोसीड फर्दर. Once you are done, let me know in the chat section. एक बार जब हो जाए, लिख लिया जाए क्वेश्चन, तो मुझे चैट सेक्शन के अंदर बता दीजिएगा. दीपक जी, कृष्णा, everybody, once you are done, let me know. You can also take a screenshot. स्क्रीनशॉट ले सकते हैं इसका. ऑलराइट, चलिए. शुड वी प्रोसीड फर्दर? बढ़े आगे. नाउ चलिए. So we will now be talking about rights of persons with disability. दिव्यांग जन से related Supreme Court ने अभी recently the Honorable Supreme Court of India had come up with a very important matter with respect to the rights of PWD, persons with disability. We also have an act with respect to rights of persons with disability. All right. So we will be discussing that. Good morning, Roshni ji. Welcome to the class. Now, when it comes to rights of persons with disability, one, there is a universal convention of United Nations as well. United Nations का एक convention भी है. Number two, we also have a law, act pass हुआ है, उसके बारे में जानकारी होना है. मैंने वो act पढ़ाया भी हुआ है, पढ़ा भी हुआ है. तो basically it is a very small act. You can go and purchase the bare act. Hardly 100 rupees का bare act है. आप पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटी एक्ट को खुद से पढ़ सकते हैं. व्हाट ऑल द एक्ट सेज, आपने खर्चना नहीं है पैसा, कोई बात नहीं, बहुत अच्छी बात है. यू कैन ऑल्सो रीड इट ऑनलाइन. मेक श्योर, एंड इट विल हार्डली टेक 30 मिनट्स. 30 मिनट्स लगेंगे, 30 मिनट्स मैक्सिमम, एंड यू वुड नो व्हाट द लॉ सेज, व्हाट द एक्ट सेज, द ओरिजिनल एक्ट दैट द गवर्नमेंट हैज क्रिएटेड. And then you read out about this topic from various resources. चाहे आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जजमेंट से पढ़िए इसे, या फ्रॉम वेरियस अदर चैनल्स, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल अन अकेडमी के ऊपर जैसे हम लोग ये क्लासेस ले रहे हैं ना, तो यहाँ पे अब जो मैं चैनल पे डिस्कस करूंगा इस चीज को लिख लीजिए, नोट डाउन कर लीजिए, वही A4 शीट्स के ऊपर लूज शीट्स पे लिखिएगा, so that you can compile it. The topic comes up within the domain of GS2, General Studies के paper 2 से related ये topic है. Now recently the Honorable Supreme Court had come up with this particular matter where they were discussing the blanket exclusion of disabled persons from services like IPS, IRPF, Railway Police Force and various DANIX for example. DANIX जो है वो आपकी एक कैडर है, लक्षद्वीप पुलिस सर्विसेज की बात की जाए, एंड वेरियस अदर प्लेसेस एज वेल. दिस मैटर वाज चैलेंज्ड and based on that the honorable supreme court made a very good observation and certain things were cropped up. उस मैटर में से हम चीजें डिस्कस कर रहे हैं विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द एंटायर टॉपिक. ठीक है जी. रोशनी जी, दीज क्लासेस हैपन एवरी सिंगल वीकेंड. मैं हफ्ते में एक दिन आता हूं, लिंक आपके साथ शेयर हो जाता है, आपको लिंक मिल जाएगा. मेक श्योर दैट यू अटेंड ऑल द क्लासेस. मेंस रेलेवेंट है. Now, as far as the 2011, because the recent census has not been brought up, the data is not yet available. We are using data from the previous census. Accordingly, there were around 27 million people who were living with disabilities of various kinds. It is about 2.21% of the total population. This is something that you should remember. याद होना चाहिए कि previous census में इतना था. By the time you appear in the examination and you get hold of the latest data, then certainly you would use the latest data. Census data जो है वो generally suggested होता है. Why? Because it is far more authentic or rather far more acceptable. जो private institutions या private think tanks data collection करते हैं, उनका डेटा कलेक्शन का क्या प्रोसेस होता है उसके ऊपर सवाल या निशान रहता है. एंड फॉर दैट रीजन वी डू नॉट रियली recommend or focus on those data. We would recommend data being used from government sources जो सरकार की तरफ से आता है. अच्छा, अभी recently there was shunting of निकाल दिया उसे. There was this think tank that produced the data for National Family Health Survey, the latest survey that had happened. So the institution that brings out the data for this, the chief of that institution has been removed from the post. The reason is कि उन्होंने अच्छा डेटा सेट नहीं बनाया फॉर वेरियस अनोमलीज दैट हैड हैपेंड. अब ये मुद्दा उठेगा पार्लियामेंट के अंदर, चर्चा हो जाएगी. चलो, now Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment had been established and it established the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, जिन्हें हम दिव्यांगजन बोलते हैं. This is to focus the ensuring the focus on the attention of policy issues with respect to PWDs and working towards their empowerment. That is the main focus or the main intent or the main purpose, right? Just a second. Yeah. One thing is there is no mention of disabled persons either in the constitution or in the preamble. There is no mentioning of any kind of reservation, any kind of process where you can discuss the laws, the rights related to persons with disabilities. For one reason, ऐसा क्यों है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डज नॉट मेंशन पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज? There is one very good reason for it. बुरा नहीं है, अच्छी बात. The reason is that the constitution as a law does not discriminate against or does not discriminate for against we for we. By creating a separate identity for persons with disability, they are considered a part and parcel of the entire population. And for that reason, there is no separate segment of rights, of duties, and of responsibilities of various policies, be it the constitution or the preamble. India as a whole is being discussed in such a document, and that is the sanctity of the document. यही कारण है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को सब लोग इतना रिस्पेक्ट भी करते. नाउ The rights as such were a policy issue, and for that reason, to ensure, because there were challenges in the real life for people with disabilities, those challenges had to be cropped up, they had to be worked on, and for that reason, you came up with the Persons with Disability Act. There was an initial act in 1950s. Now you have a new act of 2016, the Rights of Persons with Disability Act of, yes, Rights of Persons with Disability Act of 2016. This is based entirely, I'm saying, out of the 2007, when in 2007 India had ratified the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability. This convention was ratified by India in 2007, and based on that convention itself हमने ये एक्ट क्रिएट किया हुआ है. तो बहुत सारा टेक्स्ट आप जब उसे पढ़ेंगे आपको रियलाइज होगा कि जो कन्वेंशन है, कन्वेंशन के अंदर राइट्स मेंशन है, वो एज इट इज पिकअप किए हुए हैं फ्रॉम द कन्वेंशन टेक्स्ट इटसेल्फ. तो वो सिंप्लीफाइड फॉर्म में लिखे हुए हैं अपने आप. फर्दर, what are the basic features of the act? Now I'm telling you what the act has, but I would still recommend that you read, not listen. Do not go and check about the YouTube videos on this. I would recommend that. Why? Because I have seen many videos here, नॉट ऑन अन अकेडमी बट अदरवाइज ऑन यूट्यूब, मैं इन जनरल बात कर रहा हूँ. तो वो पूरे डिटेल में आपको राइट्स ऑफ पर्संस विद डिसेबिलिटी एक्ट नहीं पढ़ाते हैं. आई वुड रिकमेंड दैट यू रीड इट ऑनलाइन. इसका टेक्स्ट आपको पीडीएफ फॉर्म में मिल जाएगा. मेक श्योर इट इज द 2016 एक्ट एंड नॉट फ्रॉम 1955. पुराना एक्ट ना हो, लेटेस्ट हो, ये ध्यान रखिएगा. ठीक है, हो जाएगा जी. दीपक, रोशनी, कृष्णा जी, एवरीबडी हो जाएगा. चलो, नाउ expansion of disability criteria. One, you will have to make sure that everybody who is supposed to be considered disabled has to be incorporated into that list of disabilities. कोई भी छूटना नहीं चाहिए. No exclusion should be there. कोई excluded ना रह जाए. No one is excluded. Further, there are different types of disabilities. The types are also increasing. There used to be 7, and now they are saying that there are 21 types of disabilities. 21 प्रकार की. And the central government has been given the power to add more disabilities. So it is the power of central government, not the state government. Kendra Sarkar. All right. Chalo, further. Just a second. Yep. Challenges with respect to providing reservation benefits. Benefits of reservation should be available at higher education level, government jobs, reservation in allocation of land, poverty alleviation schemes, with respect to registration of properties, with respect to registration of vehicles, asset ownership. देखो, whenever you talk about any kind of disability, I'm not talking about physical disability or mental disability. I'm also incorporating here the socio-economic disabilities, the problems with respect to the poor, the hungry, the malnourished. Whenever you talk about any kind of disability, disability is that a normal human being is able to do things at this level, and if someone is not able to do it at that same level, उससे कम कर पाते हैं, तो he or she, they are disabled. They are not unable to, they are just disabled. That is why it is something which is not just the topic, of course, is with respect to physical disabilities and mental disabilities. It also should include, the discussion should also include disabilities with respect to socio-economic challenges. The poor, for example. Whenever you talk about such individuals, one very good and very efficient way to improve their possibilities to have good standards of living, क्योंकि जनरली जो दिव्यांग जन होते हैं या फिर persons with disability होते हैं, because of limited economic scope और limited prospects for them to enter into any field, limited होते हैं ना, इसी वजह से it is very important for them to have a sense of ownership which will give them confidence. और वो कैसे हो सकता है? For example, by reducing the court fee, reducing the stamp duty on registration of land, of property, of cars for persons with disability. This is a very effective means of ensuring capability enhancement of these individuals. ठीक? Now, reservation in vacancies with respect to government has increased from 3% to 4% now for certain persons and certain classes of jobs and opportunities. Now, particularly, this is relevant for persons with benchmark disabilities, with the extreme case scenarios. Just a second. Now, you will also have to ensure, apart from reservation, that there is inclusive education. Inclusive education, you will have to make sure that particularly in government funded educational institutions, government recognized institutions, एक तो हो गए जो सरकार जहां पैसा दे रही है, दूसरा वो जो सरकार recognize कर रही है. So these two institutions, set of institutions particularly, they will have to provide inclusive education to children with disabilities. There should be no discrimination. Number one, this does not really ensure the right to accessibility of education. ऐसा नहीं है that the admissions cannot be denied. To cope with that, there is right to free education for every child with benchmark disability between the age group of 6 to 18 years. They shall have, shall word use किया है मतलब compulsory है, that they will have the right to free education. If they could only suggest this and there was no right as such, then there was supposedly an incomplete prospect of this act. So इसी वजह से अब इस एक्ट का जो सेंस है, जो नोशन है, वो कंप्लीट होता है, बिकॉज नाउ इट फोकसेस बोथ not just on the policy but also on the rights that are associated with it. Further, central and state advisory boards will be created for disabled persons at central level and various states. District level committees will be there who will work to address the concerns at the local level for persons with disability. Then there is supposed to be creation of national and state level fund. I am giving you a very simplified version, बहुत ही simplified तरीके से आपको उस PWD Act, Right of Persons with Disability Act of 2016 का बेसिक लेखा जोखा दे रहा हूं. आप इसको एक बार यहां से मुझसे सुन के जाएंगे, फिर पढ़ेंगे तो सारी चीजें क्लियर रहेंगी. You will never forget about it, and in fact when you are writing answers with respect to this, you will have a very detailed analysis of this topic. ठीक है जी, चलिए. Now moving further, is there any form of punishment or penalty in the act? Yes, there is penalty with respect to offenses that are committed against persons with disabilities. Also, there is a set of provisions with when it is any violation in the new law, agar koi right jo hai wo infringe ho raha hai, in that sense, in that case, what would happen? All these prospects have to be considered and they are being considered. ठीक है जी, चलिए further. There will be setting up of special courts. There are special courts which will be designated in every district level par hoga, and it will be handling cases with respect to violation of these rights of persons with disabilities. Now, in this particular matter that had come up, V Surendra Mohan versus State of Tamil Nadu, this was a 2019 case. The Honorable Supreme Court referred to this particular case. The court observed that a disabled judge was 100% blind. He would be cheated by juniors. People would make him sign all kinds of wrong documents and therefore it caused problems. This was the initial observation. The first observation was this. Now, this observation warrants a very deep analytical response. This is a very derogatory statement that the Honorable Supreme Court had made towards the persons with disabilities. With all due respect to the entire judicial mechanism, I am not going to be crossing the line अपने अपने ही बिरादरी. I am a member of the courts, and I'm also a part of the legal fraternity, I would say. So I would not go against my own fraternity, but I would still say that this was not a very good statement to make as such, because this observation needs a very deeper analysis of disabilities and to understand what causes someone to be cheated and how cheating actually happens. Number one thing. Number two, does it form a valid basis for deprivation of an entire class of citizens, which is persons with disability? क्या आप उनको सभी प्रकार के बेनिफिट से वंचित रख देंगे? Are they not allowed to enter into judicial services, or then are they not allowed to enter into the high courts as judges of high courts or Supreme Court? That is a problem. That is a challenge that we have to address. Now, then, to resolve this matter, a second observation came up from the Honorable Supreme Court. अब ये केसेस क्योंकि 2016 के अंदर लॉ आया, उसके बाद ही आ रहे हैं. Beat this case. You should remember the name of this case. If you quote the case, then it will add value. You can only write down, ये आप इतना याद ना रखें, you should write down VS Mohan case और V सुरेंद्र मोहन केस. सिर्फ इतना याद रख लेंगे, and the observation, the primitive observation or the primal observation that the Honorable Supreme Court came up with was not in favor of ensuring rights and accessibility rights, accessibility of government offices, accessibility of services in the government sector. पब्लिक सेक्टर में जजेस नहीं बन सकते तो फिर क्या फायदा हो जाए? ऐसे में तो blind individuals or persons with disabilities will not be entering into the, say, legal fraternity. So an entire class of jobs, opportunities, persons with disabilities वो उससे वंचित रह जाएं. That is not the right thing to do. The second set of observation, the Honorable Supreme Court observed that the reserved seats for disabled persons were filled up just for the sake of it. Just because कि आपको disabled persons को seats देनी है, आपने वो seats दे रखी हैं, उनको reservation दे रखी हैं, but otherwise there is no fruitful benefit coming out of it. That is what the Honorable Supreme Court had observed. This second observation as well does not align with the basic idea of sensitivity towards the topic and also the human dignity of PWDs, दिव्यांगजन की जो humanness है उसको हताहत करता है, उसको चोट पहुंचाता है. Third thing, Supreme Court further came up with the observation that sympathy is one aspect, practicality is another. The entire lot of Supreme Court judgments with respect to persons with disabilities ensures a foundation of rights, no doubt, but the effective implementation of those rights is very limited. That is the problem. The petitioners are not seeking sympathy, they are rather making a legal rights based approach. It is the recognition of their legal rights that they are fighting for. This third observation changed the winds. हवाओं का रुख अब बदला, because now the Honorable Supreme Court has come up with the recent 2022 observation. अभी judgment नहीं आई थी, सिर्फ observations आई हैं. Observations are basically the basic things that the Honorable Supreme Court, the high courts, honorable high courts of various states, they say in their judgments, which is not the word of law, but it is still based on certain basic legal premise. तो उसकी इंपॉर्टेंस होती है. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मैं आपको टॉपिक से रिलेटेड आगे पीछे की बातें बताता हूं, वो टॉपिक से इनडायरेक्टली जुड़ी हुई होती हैं, लेकिन दे आर मे बी, दे माइट नॉट बी अ पार्ट ऑफ योर आंसर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको एनोड कैथोड का चार्जिंग रिचार्जिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट समझा रहा था. इन दैट एस्पेक्ट इट इज नॉट डायरेक्टली लिंक्ड, इट इज इनडायरेक्टली लिंक्ड, है ना. You may not be using it in your answers, but you will certainly be using the knowledge from their prospect. So similarly, when the Honorable Supreme Court makes any kind of observation, such an observation is not exactly a judgment. It is not a judgment, but it is relevant for us to understand what is the thought of the Supreme Court. Further, what should be the way forward? Number one thing, You will have to make sure that there is reasonable accommodation of all necessary processes with respect to helping the PWDs, Divyangjan, in exercising their rights. It is not just about creating rights on paper, it is also about implementation of those rights, and for that purpose you will have to create paraphernalia. Uske aage piche ki cheezein create karni padegi. It is not about sympathy, but PWDs need empathy and understanding. सिंपथी एम्पैथी में क्या डिफरेंस है? बेसिक डिफरेंस आप लोगों ने अगर मेरे से एथिक्स पढ़ा है तो आपको पता होगा, बट अगर नहीं पढ़ा है या आपको याद नहीं है तो मैं आपको दोबारा से याद करा देता हूं सिंपल सिंपल वर्ड्स के अंदर. सिंपथी इज, बेचारे के साथ बहुत बुरा हुआ, इट वाज रियली बैड टू हैव हैपेंड विद देम. दिस इज सिंपथी. जब आप किसी को सांत्वना देते हैं, यार कुछ नहीं हो, कुछ नहीं हो, कुछ नहीं, इट्स ओके, दैट इज सिंपथी. Empathy is when you actually sit down with that person and feel. I have many friends and many acquaintances in my life. If I were to count my friends, I can count them on a couple of fingers. मतलब गिने चुने 5 से 7 के करीब दोस्त, गिने चुने लोग. Out of those 10 odd people, there is only 2 to 3 individuals who actually have empathy with me. They are connected with me. और ये चीज आप अपनी लाइफ में भी देखें. Empathy होती है the ones who actually sit down with you and they feel what you are feeling. They can actually replicate your emotions within themselves. ये लोग empaths, they are basically going through that process with you if they are with you. अगर आपके साथ. But sympathy is बहुत बुरा हुआ, and then they move on. That is the difference. Now, the persons with disability do not need your sympathy. They need empathy. They need you to understand that they are also people and they are also having certain rights, not just the constitutional rights and the fundamental rights, but also the rights enshrined in the 2016 जो latest वाला act है उसके अंदर. Now, practicality aspect has to be assessed on the basis of legal test of undue burden. What is this legal test of undue burden? Undue burden क्या है? I'll give you an example. Say for example, this is point A and this is point B. बहुत simple से example से आपको undue burden समझ में आ जाएगा. Undue burden. बहुत simple सा process. Now imagine I was supposed to go from A to B. मैं A पे खड़ा हूं, मुझे A से B की ओर जाना है. In my car, for example, you come to me at point A and you say, sir, or maybe somewhere here at point C, you come to me and you say, sir, please drop me at point D. Now I have already traveled this distance. My, जिसको गंतव्य बोलते हैं, my destination is closer to me now. Now you asking me to reverse myself and take a U-turn and detour, और उसके बाद मैं उल्टी डायरेक्शन में twice the distance down to make you reach there, that is undue burden on me. I would rather help you get a public transport, maybe a rickshaw, an auto rickshaw, e-rickshaw, जैसे कृष्णा जी ने बोला था, ई-रिक्शा करवा दूंगा और आपको कहूंगा कि भैया आप जाओ, मुझे जरा इस तरफ जाना है. नहीं तो दिस विल बी एन undue burden on me. अगर मैं नहीं करता, मैं नहीं करता, तो मेरे ऊपर ये एक्स्ट्रा बेफजूल का बोझ आ जाएगा. This is the legal test. Now, this legal test, when it is applied to, say, for example, the government sector, what does it mean? It means that the government, or rather, the administration, say, for example, will it add to the burden? मतलब एक IAS officer, अगर person with disability is becoming an IAS officer, it is allowed, and of course you have reservation as well. But when a Divyang Jan becomes an IAS officer, is it any undue burden on the administration itself? Because is it the need for the of the Divyang Jan to have certain individuals helping him throughout the day? अगर ऐसी सिचुएशन है, if that is the case, then it will be an undue burden on the administration, because the person is not going to add value to the administration to that extent. वो efficiency तो इतनी बढ़ाएंगे नहीं, लेकिन उनके लिए आपको अलग से खर्चा करना पड़ जाए. That is where the change has to come up. This is where this is a very practical test. ये undue burden का टेस्ट जो है ये basically practicality का टेस्ट है. Whether providing reasonable accommodation is imposing too much of a burden on the duty bearer. Just to accommodate a person with disability, is it too much? Only then can reasonable accommodation be refused for being impractical. अगर है तो आप वो impractical है तो फिर आपको ये चीज चेंज करनी पड़ेगी. Citizens of this country should not leave any stone unturned. They should make sure that the lives of differently abled individuals और दिव्यांगजन जिसे हम कहते हैं उन सब की जिंदगी भी बेहतर होनी चाहिए. This is something that we have to work on. But the problem is that we are not working on this. Even with the act होते हुए भी हम उस चीज को नहीं कर रहे. Now let's understand what the convention says. The Convention of United Nations, which is on rights of persons with disability, इसको UNCRPD भी बोलते हैं. United Nation Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Now this was adopted in 2006. हमने इसको बाद में ratify किया था. It came into force in 2008. Now parties to the convention, they are required to promote, protect, ensure various rights, particularly human rights, to be enjoyed by the persons with disability. Further, you need to protect these rights. The state has to protect these rights. कैसे करेंगे? Act pass करके. Dignity as well, not just rights but also dignity. What is dignity? What is dignity? आपको एक बहुत ही सिंपल तरीके से बता देता हूं. Just imagine that there is someone who is mentally unstable or mentally ill. दिमागी तौर से कोई इंसान है जो बीमार है. That individual is in a public place. In that case, if the public is making fun of that individual, उसका मजाक उड़ा रही है, उसके कपड़ों से छेड़छाड़ कर रही, now that individual is mentally ill. He has no senses whatsoever that he or she, they are a human being. वो इंसान है या नहीं है. लेकिन अगर कोई बाहर का व्यक्ति अलग से उनके अस्मिता को, उनकी जो रिस्पेक्ट है या सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट को है, चोट पहुंचा रहा है, उनका मजाक उड़ा रहा है, कोई धक्का दे रहा है, कोई कपड़ों से छेड़छाड़ कर रहा है, कोई गलत तरीके से टच कर रहा है, वो सारी चीजें they are impacting or rather they are degrading the dignity of that individual. उस व्यक्ति की अस्मिता, in Hindi it is called अस्मिता, उसको चोट पहुंचा रहा. Dignity is linked with us, the existence of us, हमारी existence से जुड़ी हुई होती. If someone has dignity, तो वो अपनी सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट को बचा के चलता है. किसी के अंदर डिग्निटी होती है तो वो गलत नहीं बोलता है, झूठ नहीं बोलता है, वो गलत काम नहीं करता है. डिग्निटी इज एक्चुअली एसोसिएटेड विद द एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ अ ह्यूमन बीइंग. दिस इज व्हाट मेक्स अ ह्यूमन बीइंग ह्यूमन. इंसान को इंसान बनाने वाली और इंसान को इंसान समझने वाली या खुद को समझाने वाली जो चीज है उसे हम डिग्निटी कहते हैं. If you respect my dignity, then you will not disrespect me, because I am a teacher, because of the dignity that is associated with me as an individual, as a person. Same case goes for me as well. हाँ, शुद्ध हिंदी में अगर आप कहेंगे तो वो गरिमा हो जाएगा, गरिमा, अस्मिता, सिमिलर बट नॉट द सेम सर्टेनली. बट मुझे ये वर्ड ज्यादा पसंद आता है, अस्मिता, जस्ट टू लिंक इट विद रिस्पेक्ट. अस्मिता जो है वो रिस्पेक्ट से ज्यादा लिंक करता है डिग्निटी को, है ना. कई बार एग्जैक्ट ट्रांसलेशन नहीं हो पाती है. for certain Hindi words and for English words. तो दोनों ही closely associated है ना. Now in that sense, the level of respect that you have for that individual is associated, or the level of say एक व्यक्ति की गरिमा, उसकी डिग्निटी है, जैसे आपने कृष्णा जी बताया, तो ये चीज आपको इंसान बनाती है. दिस इज व्हाट मेक्स यू ह्यूमन. इफ यू आर नॉट रिस्पेक्टिंग दैट फॉर अ दिव्यांग जन, देन सर्टेनली वी आर लैगिंग बिहाइंड एज अ सोसाइटी. हम सामाजिक तौर पर पिछड़े हुए, हमें बेहतर करना होगा. एंड फॉर दैट रीजन द यूएनसीपीआरडी CRPD, sorry, talks about this. The convention is monitored by a committee of on rights of persons with disabilities. तो एक कमिटी भी है, वो इसको मॉनिटर करती है, इसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन को. ओके, चलिए मूव फर्दर नाउ. Another topic. Acha, before I go on and discuss the next topic, let's write down a question on this topic. Question of course GS2 से related रहेगा. Just a second. चलिए. Now, the question which this topic demands can come up in GS2. It may not be coming up in GS3, but GS2 में और GS4 में आ सकता है. तो GS2 और GS4 से related question आपको बना कर देता हूँ. With respect to GS2, this is the question. Critically analyze the not role or responsibility now, the impact of recent Supreme Court observations in context with Divyangjan. Question mark. Second question for GS4. This one is for GS4. Please write down. Human values are comprehensive at both ends. Human values are comprehensive at both ends. Full stop. Analyze the statement in light of the treatment of persons with disabilities in Indian society. ये जो बोथ एंड्स हैं, व्हाट आर दीज टू एंड्स, ये मैं आपको बता देता हूं ताकि आपको कंफ्यूजन ना हो, बिकॉज यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग. बोथ एंड मीन्स दैट ह्यूमन वैल्यूज आर कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव with respect to different types as well. Types of human values, जैसे for example types of human values. That is one end. The other end is different types of individuals, types of people, or different classes of people, different categories and classes of people that these human values have to cater to. For example, human values with respect to the elderly, with respect to young ones, with respect to friends, with respect to family, with respect to Divyangjan, with respect to, say, the state, with respect to the society at large, with respect to your teachers, with respect to your students. ये सारी human values comprehensive हैं, अलग हैं, for different values लगती हैं when it comes to different set of people. And different types of human values exist as such, and it is different for different kinds of people. So the same human value can work differently for an elderly person, can work differently for a younger one. So ये डिफरेंट सेट ऑफ वैल्यूज दोनों तरफ से है ना. तो ये स्टेटमेंट का बेसिक मतलब ये है. एनालाइज दिस स्टेटमेंट इन लाइट ऑफ द ट्रीटमेंट दैट इंडियन सोसाइटी गिव्स टू इट्स ओन पर्संस विद डिसेबिलिटी. तो उसके बारे में चर्चा करनी है. I would really be happy to see you guys use examples from Indian, Indian ancient history or prehistoric times, or all those times of Mahabharata, and maybe around that time. Use that example, and based on that example, उस basis पर introduction का एक foundation बनाकर you can create the entire lot of the answer. All right. If you do that, you will be able to score better. चलो, let's move further. Let's talk about the age of consent for adolescents. What is this topic? What do we have to study this for? And why is it relevant? What general studies can it be a part of? Let's understand that. Just give me a second, guys. Just a couple of seconds. Just give me a second, guys. There's something in the eyes. Just a couple of seconds, please. चलिए. I hope I'm audible and visible to all. AV सबको क्लियर है? ऑडियो वीडियो? हाँ जी. All good? चलो. Let's proceed further. Let's talk about age of consent. Now, as far as age of consent is concerned, no, it's fine. As far as the age of consent is concerned, one thing that has happened in the recent past is with respect to the changes in the intergenerational gaps. I'm talking about intergenerational gaps or intergenerational mobility. जो समझ, जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग, जो लेवल ऑफ थॉट प्रोसेस we were expecting for us to realize at the age of 25, for which reason that we had kept the age of drinking, the legal age of drinking, to be at 25 years of age. The basic difference of legal age of drinking and, for example, just to give you an example, for females, the age to get married, the possibility is 18 years of age, right? For men, for boys, it is 21 years of age. This is the legal age to get married. The legal age of majority according to Indian Majority Act, this is from 1800s. This act was written by the Britishers. We still follow that act. उसमें amendment, उसमें changes करते रहते हैं. According to this act, one becomes a major when they have crossed 18 years of age. That is when they become major. Then the majority, the age of majority is not, ये तो सीधी सी बात है, जस्ट बिकॉज कोई 18 साल से ऊपर हो गया है इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो समझदार हो गया अचानक से एक रात में विद इन अ कपल ऑफ सेकेंड्स फॉर एग्जांपल उसके अंदर नॉलेज आ गई, उसके अंदर मेच्योरिटी आ गई, उसके अंदर विजडम आ गई, सब आ गए. दैट डज नॉट हैपन, राइट? So in many instances, 18 years of age has been kept particularly for one reason, that 18 years of age is that age when people generally, students, they have crossed that threshold of schooling and they are entering into the college life. And at that point of time, they need exposure. And for that reason, many rights are associated with respect to 18 years of age. उससे पहले आप माइनर कहलाते हैं. आप माइनर कहलाते हैं अगर आप 17 साल 6 महीने 7 महीने 11 महीने भी हैं तब भी आप माइनर कहलाते हैं. In certain laws very recently, for example, because of the Nirbhaya law that was created, 16 to 18 years of age in heinous crimes, particularly in rarest of rare cases, one would be considered as major. They would be treated as major. They will not become major. मेजर हो नहीं जाएंगे, उनको मेजर जैसा ट्रीट किया जाए. There is a difference. Further, 18 years of age is majority with respect to age of consent as well. What is this age of consent? If someone has to, or if someone is having any kind of physical relationship in that sense, when they are having between two individuals, if it is happening, the physical relationship, it needs to have to be based on consent. If there is no consent, then certainly it will amount to physical assault, physical abuse, sexual abuse, or even tantamount to rape in certain cases. But if the age of consent has not been crossed, अगर आप में से कोई एक व्यक्ति, मान लीजिए कोई एक व्यक्ति जिसको कहें हम कि वो नाबालिग है या वो 18 साल की उम्र से कम है, laws are different to treat that individual to be considering the crime or uh, the law that has been broken by that individual. उसके लिए law अलग से काम करता है. There is different set of laws, and that is why 18 years is very relevant. Now the question has come up whether or not individuals become mature at 18 years of age or not. Is it before that? Is it happening before that in this new generation, in this new world? क्या वो जल्दी हो रहा है? क्या लोग जल्दी मैच्योर हो रहे हैं? क्या लोग जल्दी नई नई दुनिया देख रहे हैं, नई चीजें देख रहे हैं? क्या वो नई चीजें जल्दी सीख रहे हैं? We are living in an age which is driven by ICT, information communication technology. Is it changing the way the students, the kids, the children, they are evolving throughout their life cycle? That is something that was recently picked up by the Dharwad bench of Karnataka High Court. They dismissed a case which was filed under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012. इसको पॉक्सो एक्ट बोलते हैं. पॉक्सो, which said the Law Commission, this was mentioned by the Law Commission of India as well, that it should rethink the age criteria when it comes to age of consent, taking into consideration the ground realities. The age of consent by a girl, for example, of 16 years, the aspect of consent by a girl of 16 years, but who's below 18 years, would have to be considered, because it is presumed that 16 to 18 years, generally we see today that they are getting a bit more mature, jaldi aa rahi hai maturity, because of the exposure that the internet, that the ICT tools have provided our children. This has to be considered. It was said that if it is needed, an offense under the Indian Penal Code or the POXO Act can be incorporated so that we ensure maximum utility, maximum possibilities of reducing conflict or reducing any kind of crime associated with this. Further, what does this POXO Act say? POXO Act basically of 2022, 2012 basically is a comprehensive law which is providing protection of children from sexual assault, sexual harassment. दोनों में फर्क है. Assault and harassment. These are two different words. Child pornography, while safeguarding various interests of children at every stage of judicial process, not just till the time offense has been committed, but also beyond that. The judicial process can be cumbersome, can be very problematic, particularly can be traumatic. Trauma हो सकता है वो. For whom? For the children. For that reason, the judicial process should be streamlined through child-friendly mechanisms. Further, you will have to ensure reporting, recording of evidence, investigation, and while doing that, you need to make sure that there is speedy trial through special courts as well. This is why POXO Act of 2012 is very important. विकू गोस्वामी जी, मेरी ना आज क्लास होगी शाम को 5 बजे, टुडे एट 5 PM. आप एक काम कीजिए, मैं ऑलरेडी एक लिंक वैसे शेयर कर चुका हूं. अगर आप जो इस वीडियो क्लास का डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स है ना, उसमें जाएंगे. मेरा नाम है सनत दत्त भारद्वाज. सनत दत्त भारद्वाज. या तो आप मुझे इस नाम से सर्च कर लीजिएगा अन अकेडमी के ऊपर, और इफ यू कैन देन यू कैन ऑल्सो गो टू द डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स इन द लिंक. डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स के अंदर जाएंगे तो वहां पर आपको मेरी प्रोफाइल का लिंक मिल जाएगा. आपका जो सवाल है, उस सवाल का आंसर आज शाम को 5 बजे मैं दे रहा हूं. ऑलरेडी एक स्पेशल क्लास प्लान्ड है. व्हाट ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट शुड बी चोजन. आपके जितने डाउट्स हैं, यहां पे आप थोड़ा लिमिटेड बोलेंगे, यूट्यूब है फॉर एग्जांपल, जैसे बहुत कम बात हो सकती है, वहां पर तो आप सीधे मेरे साथ पूरी बातें डिस्कस कर सकते हैं. व्हाट ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट यू शुड चूज. सारी चीजें मैं कवर करूंगा, आपके हर एक डाउट को क्लियर करूंगा. मेक श्योर दैट यू आर अ पार्ट ऑफ दैट एज वेल. फॉलो कर लेना और ये अपने सवाल नोट कर लेना. जितने डाउट्स होंगे सब क्लियर कर दो, ये प्रॉमिस. ओके, दिस इज अ प्रॉमिस. चल, लेट्स कवर द टॉपिक नाउ, क्योंकि ये टॉपिक से थोड़ा सा हटके हो जाएगा. ऑलरेडी 5 बजे होगी क्लास, 5 से 6 होगी, 5 to 6 PM. फिर 7 to 8 PM, फिर 9 to 10 PM. ये 3 क्लासेस हैं मेरी आज के आज. और आज के आज हम सब लोग इस पूरे टॉपिक को विद रिस्पेक्ट टू व्हाट ऑप्शनल शुड बी चोजन, हाउ टू स्कोर वेल, ये सारी चीजें आज कवर करेंगे. आज 3 घंटे के आसपास आप अगर मुझे देते हैं तो आई सर्टनली प्रॉमिस दैट आपको ये डाउट कभी नहीं आएगा कि कौन सा ऑप्शनल लेना चाहिए और कौन सा ऑप्शनल लेकर फायदा हुआ या नुकसान हुआ. वो सारी चीजें सॉल्व हो जाएंगी. ओके, ठीक है जी. बस फॉलो कर लेना और वेट करना. आज शाम से क्लास शुरू है. इनफैक्ट आज 29th है. फ्रॉम 31st of July I am also starting my course on public ad optional. ठीक है जी, ये कोर्स शुरू होने वाला है. जस्ट टू गिव यू अ ब्रॉड ओवरव्यू, this is the course. Just to give you a broad overview, remember this. आप कोई भी कोर्स फॉलो करते हैं तो ये रेफरल कोड याद कर लीजिएगा, SRIRAMS. एंड ऑल्सो रिमेंबर दिस नंबर 8585858585। ठीक है जी, ये ऑफलाइन कोर्सेज के लिए है। ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज के लिए ये रेफरल कोड है, इस फोन नंबर पे बात करेंगे तो आपको ऑफलाइन क्लासेस भी मिल जाएंगी दिल्ली में। एंड अदरवाइज ऑनलाइन जो बैच है पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का, जैसे आई टेक का पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, दिस इज गोइंग टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 31 जुलाई, परसों से शुरू हो रहा है। प्राइस एक्यूरेटली अगर मैं बोलूं तो ये है, डिस्काउंट होने के बाद ये होती है, अगर आप ये रेफरल कोड यूज करते हो तो इतनी प्राइस रह जाती है। सो इट इज ऑफ कोर्स अ बेनिफिट। इनफैक्ट बेनिफिट सिर्फ यहीं तक ही नहीं सीमित है, इट इज ऑल्सो एसोसिएटेड विद योर मिशन 1 ईयर विद श्री राम आईएएस एज वेल। तो उसमें भी आपका जो कोर्स प्राइसेस हैं वो डिस्काउंट होके कम हो जाती हैं, 25% ऑफ हो जाता है। ठीक है जी, चलो लेट्स गेट बैक टू द टॉपिक। Now, once we have understood the basic premise of POXO Act का पर्पस क्या है वो हमने समझ लिया. Let's talk about the salient features of the act. Number one thing, what is a child or what is a children? What is this term that we use? हम बार बार ये use करते रहते हैं term children. According to the act, all the individuals जिनकी उम्र 18 साल से कम है, people who are less than 18 years of age, the act is gender neutral. ये मेल या फीमेल के बेसिस पर नहीं डिफाइन करता है. एनी इंडिविजुअल, एनीबडी हु इज लेस देन 18 years of age is actually a part of the category of children. चाइल्ड की कैटेगरी में आप. ठीक है जी, चलो फर्दर. There are different forms of sexual abuse that happens. Acha, one more thing, I was explaining what is a sexual assault and what is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment can happen at a workplace as well. उसके लिए prevention of sexual harassment related rules हैं, POSH rules बोलते हैं उसे. Sexual harassment can be of many kinds. Sexual advances, बार बार induce या incite करना, बार बार उसको vulgar messages भेजना किसी को, बार बार उन्हें sexually explicit content भेज देना, या उनको जबरदस्ती किसी तरीके से हैरेस करना, चाहे वो थ्रू द टच हो और थ्रू इम्प्लिसिट मीन्स हो. इम्प्लिसिट मीन्स मतलब छुपे हुए हिडन एजेंडाज के जरिए हो. इलिसिट एडवांसेस करना, ये आते हैं आपके सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट के कंपोनेंट के अंदर. सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट इज व्हेन समवन एक्चुअली works on the sexual harassment and starts committing the offense of assault. assault जो होता है वहां पर फिजिकल मूवमेंट इन्वॉल्व हो जाती है. फिजिकल मूवमेंट में मे बी somebody, if they are impacting the dignity, the sexual dignity of any person, a girl particularly or females, या फिर वो किसी तरीके से किसी महिला को गलत जगह पर गलत तरीके से टच कर रहे हैं, वो भी सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट में आ जाता है. रेप ऑफ कोर्स इज अ स्पेशलाइज्ड कैटेगरी ऑफ सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट, एक स्पेशल क्लास है ऑफ सेक्सुअल ऑफेंसेस जो कि सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट का एक एग्रेवेटेड फॉर्म है, एक बढ़ा हुआ एग्रेवेटेड फॉर्म. ये बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग आपको होनी चाहिए, इसीलिए मैंने आपको बताई. चलिए फर्दर, there are different forms of sexual abuse. एक एग्जांपल तो मैंने आपको दे दिया, that rape is the extreme case scenario of sexual assault. Sexual harassment, pornography, penetrative or non-penetrative assault, मैंने आपको बताया, it is not just about rape, it is also about many other kinds of assault. गलत तरीके से touch itself, or for example at at places of work, you have many places, many individuals, they make illicit advances. नॉर्मल टच को इलिसिट बनाकर नॉन पेनिट्रेटिव असॉल्ट कर देते हैं. इस तरीके से हैरेसमेंट हो जाती है महिलाओं की वर्क प्लेसेस के अंदर, विच इज रियली डिमीनिंग टू द कोर. बहुत गलत होता है, बहुत बुरा होता है, इन दैट सेंस दैट इट हैज अ psychological impact not just on the females but also on the men. Of course, not all men are the same, but still many of us, we commit these crimes knowingly and unknowingly, just because of this thirst, this greed for flesh, which is really demeaning to our existence as a human being. इंसान के तौर पर हमारी existence के ऊपर कलंक है, अगर इस तरीके की एक्टिविटीज होती हैं. आई एम फॉर वन very much against such things. Now, sexual assault is deemed as to be aggravated form of sexual harassment. Harassment से assault पे जाता है, assault से rape पे जाता है. ये extreme scenarios हैं. Particularly under certain circumstances when sexual harassment is being happening with someone, a child who is mentally ill, तो ये act उसको बहुत कड़े नजरों से देखता है. When abuse is being committed by a person in a position of trust, someone a child trusts, a parent for example, a sibling, elder sibling for example, or maybe an elderly in the family for example, someone the child would trust, और उस ट्रस्ट को डिस्ट्रस्ट में बदलना और उसका मेंटल इंपैक्ट और साइकोलॉजिकल इंपैक्ट बच्चे के ऊपर बहुत गहरा हो जाता है. एंड फॉर दैट रीजन, फॉर एग्जांपल, अ डॉक्टर, अ टीचर, अ पुलिसमैन, अ फैमिली मेंबर, in such cases, POCSO Act is very stringent, it is very accurate and is dealing with these matters. The Act has assigned the responsibility upon a policeman who will, in the role of child protector, work as someone who will make sure that the investigation process happens very smoothly. The investigation and the trial that is to be done, it is to be done in a way that it has minimal trauma or negligible trauma on the mind or the psyche of the child. बच्चे के दिमाग पे असर नहीं पड़ना चाहिए, ये सोच होनी चाहिए. Any case that is to be registered under this POCSO Act is mandated to be disposed within 1 year. एक साल के अंदर अंदर उसे dispose off करना होगा, उस केस के ऊपर जजमेंट देनी पड़ेगी. Further, the act provides for establishing special courts. इनको चिल्ड्रंस कोर्ट्स कह देते हैं, which will be dealing with respect to any matters incidental with respect to the POCSO Act. Rights to make rules or the power to make rules, it is with the central government, not with the state government. Further, to implement this act, you have the NCPCR, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Then you have state commissions for protection of child rights, the SCPCRs, and they have been mandated as the designated authorities. Both आर स्टैट्यूटरी, चाहे आप नेशनल लेवल पे बात करिए चाहे स्टेट लेवल पे बात करिए, वो इसी पॉक्सो एक्ट के तहत बनाने की बात कही गई है. इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू नो. फर्दर, section 42A, this is one single section. If I were to say 42 clause A, that would have been written like this. कैपिटल मतलब वो खुद से अपने आप में एक सेक्शन या एक आर्टिकल, तो ये पता होना चाहिए. दिस प्रोवाइड्स under the POCSO Act provides overriding powers over other acts. That means किसी और एक्ट में कोई और प्रोविजन होगी तो होती रहे. POCSO Act के अंदर अगर कोई चीज आ गई, POCSO Act लगेगा सबसे पहले. The act calls for mandatory reporting of sexual offenses. Otherwise many offenses they go unreported. तो अभी क्या है कि इस तरीके से इस चीज को प्रोजेक्ट किया जा रहा है, इस तरीके से जस्ट अ सेकेंड, हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं that we are trying to make it mandatory to file a complaint. If someone is not filing a complaint, then there can be action taken against them as well. One thing. Further, someone under the POCSO Act, someone under several provisions can, अगर कोई penetrative sexual assault करता है, which means rape on a child, अगर वो करता है, then anyone, child कौन, anyone below the age of 18 years can be imprisoned for a term which is not less than, so minimum 7 years in jail, but which may extend imprisonment for life. 7 साल से लेकर उम्र कैद की सजा. If you talk about rape laws, generally the categories include 7 to 10 years, 10 to 14 years, 14 years से लेकर life. LI बोलते हैं और SLI बोल देते हैं, सिंपल लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट. और लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट जिसको रिगरस भी बनाया जा सकता है. rigorous means that you have to do a lot of things. It is based on certain conditionalities. वो details में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. अच्छा, ये life imprisonment means life imprisonment. Somebody dies in the jail. There is no fancy, there is no hanging, but the person who has been given life imprisonment ends up in jail till the end. अनलेस एंड अनटिल उसको पार्डन मिल जाए, अनलेस एंड अनटिल वो बाहर आ जाए फॉर कंपैशनेट ग्राउंड्स या परोल पे आ जाए, बट अदरवाइज द पर्सन हु हैज बीन गिवन लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट लिव्स इन प्रिजन। ये मिसकंसेप्शन है कि 14 साल तक आपको जेल में रहना होता है लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट के लिए। दैट इज जस्ट अ मिथ, मिसकंसेप्शन है, ये झूठ है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता। ठीक, सारी उम्र जेल पे निकलती है जिसको लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट मिलती है, इतना आसान नहीं है। सो या तो 7 साल की सजा या 7 से लेकर लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट तक कुछ भी हो सकता है। इट इज द डिस्क्रिशन ऑफ द कोर्ट्स, ये कोर्ट्स की डिस्क्रिशन होती है, रिमेंबर दैट। एंड इट शैल द पर्सन हु इज कमिटेड द ऑफेंस विल आल्सो बी लायबल टू फाइन। फाइन तो पे करेगा ही, वो बात अलग है, लेकिन उसके अलावा 7 से उम्र कैद तक की सजा हो सकती है। Even if the girl is 16 years old, she is still considered a child under पॉक्सो एक्ट। एंड मैंने आपको अभी बताया कि अगर पॉक्सो एक्ट लग रहा है तो पॉक्सो एक्ट पहले लगेगा, बाकी सारी एक्ट्स बाद में लगेंगे। There have been several instances where, in the last few years, the courts have quashed criminal proceedings of rape, kidnapping, etc., after being convinced that the law was being misused to suit one party or the other party. पॉक्सो एक्ट का मिसयूज भी हो रहा था, जस्ट लाइक रेप लॉज का मिसयूज हो रहा था। देयर वाज आई थिंक अ मूवी वेयर अक्षय खन्ना वाज प्लेइंग अ रोल, कुछ लीगल ड्रामा था विद रिस्पेक्ट टू section 375 if I'm not wrong. And in that case as well, the problem is with respect to the wrong usage or misuse of this law. एक पार्टी दूसरे पार्टी को हैरेस करना चाहती है तो वो ये चीज करना शुरू कर देती है, तो बेसिकली दैट इज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग। द एक्ट डज नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज कंसेंसुअल सेक्स between pre-adult teenagers. What is pre-adult teenagers? Pre-adult means, adult means 18 years. Pre-adult teenagers means if you have someone who's 13 years of age, 14, 15, 16, 17, है ना, ये सारी एज ग्रुप के अंदर 13 to 17 years of age के अंदर अगर कोई है तो वो प्री एडल्ट टीनेजर है, बिकॉज 18 years is adult teenager, then 19 is adult teenager, 20 के बाद यू हैव एडल्ट, टीनेजर खत्म हो जाता है, टीनेज खत्म हो जाती है। चलिए फर्दर, जस्ट अ सेकेंड। Just give me a second, please. Just working. Now, how is this misuse happening? Misuse of the act, how it is happening? Let's understand that. Now, the Honorable High Court of Karnataka, in their judgment, there have been many courts, many high courts, and even Supreme Court has passed many orders. They said that the effect of such criminal prosecution of a minor girl or a boy causes severe distress to all who are concerned. Many stakeholders are involved, including the family and the society at large as well. Now, there are sometimes disgruntled parents who file a case to foil a relationship. कोई गर्लफ्रेंड बॉयफ्रेंड है, उनके रिलेशनशिप को खराब करने के चक्कर में, दो एडोलेसेंट्स के बीच में, घर वाले, लड़की के घर वाले या लड़के के घर वाले या वट एवर द केस माइट बी, वो पॉक्सो एक्ट का केस डाल देते। एक इजी वे आउट मिला हुआ है जस्ट टू ब्रेक अप द रिलेशनशिप और जस्ट टू रिमूव द पर्सन फ्रॉम द लाइफ ऑफ द चिल्ड्रन। In a study that happened 3 to 4 years ago, 2019 की ये study है, the study was titled as Why Girls Run Away to Marry, Adolescent Realities and Social Legal Responses in India. There was a I think TV series that I think, if I'm not wrong, Bobby Deol was also a part of very recently, and it was not Ashram. It was not Ashram. Mm, It was. It came up last year only. Uh, with it was movie, I think, or some honor killing से related movie थी. If a movie or Love Hostel, I think, uh, was the case. I don't know. हाँ, yes, Vikrant Masi, Love Hostel. That was that was the one. In that case itself, you have many examples where the I think it is a movie or series है क्या है Love Hostel करके है. I did not watch it, but I saw the trailer and got the idea, the gist of the idea. आप भी ट्रेलर देख सकते हो तो आपको बेसिक आइडिया हो जाएगा, तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगी क्या सिचुएशन थी. इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट किलिंग अवे ऑफ पीपल, किलिंग अवे ऑफ गर्ल्स एंड बॉयज who enter into relationships which the parents or maybe the primitive or the traditional society, so called traditional society, does not approve of, है ना. Now, this report particularly was published by the Partners for Law in Department. This is a think tank. A study was published. They made a case for the age of consent to be lower for the same reason. क्योंकि जब भी ये मामले सामने आते हैं, ये रियलाइज होता है कि पेरेंट्स बोल देते हैं कि बच्चे नाबालिग हैं जी. अगर एज ऑफ कंसेंट कम होगी तो सर्टेनली नाबालिग होते हुए भी, नॉन मेजर या प्री मेजर होते हुए भी, या फिर कह लीजिए प्री एडल्ट टीन्स होते हुए भी, उनको एक थोड़ी सी लेवरेज ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस या सोशो कल्चरल राइट्स की रेलिवेंस मिल जाएगी, थोड़ा सा इंपॉर्टेंस हो जाएगी. That is something that is being suggested. Now, this Partners for Law in Department, they came up with this study, why girls run away to marry, adolescent realities and socio-legal responses that happen in India. इसके अंदर उन्होंने बोला that we need to lower the age of consent, making it lower than the age of marriage, to make sure that we decriminalize sex which happens in adult adolescents before marriage, so that the misuse of law does not happen, so that the parents themselves, sometimes it happens by the parents itself, they do not control their daughters, their sons, their right to marry someone. तो इस वजह से ये एक मुद्दा उठा हुआ है. इट इज अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग टॉपिक, इंपॉर्टेंट है, मेंस के पर्सपेक्टिव से रिलेवेंट. ऑलराइट. Now the study has noted down that in many cases couples they elope just because कि अब्बा नहीं माने, अब्बा नहीं माने. ये बहुत बार होता है, रिजल्टिंग इन अ सिचुएशन वेयर फैमिलीज दे फाइल केसेस इन पॉक्सो एक्ट कि भाई हमारे लड़की को अगवा करके ले गए और रेप कर दिया है. सो दे पुलिस देन दे बुक द गाय, द बॉय, अंडर रेप चार्जेस, अंडर पॉक्सो एक्ट, कि अभी नाबालिग है जी. They can produce fake certificates as well just to prove the point. There was an instance very recently. The person was released from the jail who had not committed the crime of rape, and yet he was wrongly, or rather illegally criminalized, and he was accused, was convicted, and he was sent to jail. Turns out it was a matter relating to property dispute, और सामने वाली पार्टी की किसी लड़की ने, किसी महिला ने जबरदस्ती रेप का चार्ज लगाया, और वो इंसान 10 साल, पता नहीं कितने साल अपनी लाइफ के जेल में काट के आया. प्रॉपर्टी का मामला. There is an example of a case here which I am bringing, which is Vijay Lakshmi versus versus the state REP case. These are different types of cases. Now, this case of 2021, the Madras High Court had said that the definition of child under Section 2D of POCSO Act can be redefined. Can be is not being suggestion hai. It is just a suggestion. that it can be redefined as 16 rather than 18. तो एज ऑफ कंसेंट को कम करने की बात की जा रही है. फर्दर it is said that any consensual sex that is happening after the age of 16, or any kind of bodily contact that is happening after the age of 16, or any allied act which is associated with sexual or associated advances, any kind of physical relationship, any kind of physical activity that is happening relating to that after 16 years of age can be excluded from rigorous provisions of POXO Act. उसको पॉक्सो एक्ट के दायरे से बाहर निकाल सकते हो, उसको अलग से कंसिडर कर सकते हो. नाउ द प्रॉब्लम एंड द चैलेंज एसोसिएटेड विद दिस as this particular point is that Madras High Court has effectively removed the relevance and significance of the POXO Act for girls who are below the 18 years of age and more than 16 years of age group. If they are a part of that group, that age group, then certainly they will be just they will be kept outside the purview, out of the purview of this law. Now, the courts have suggested that this age difference in consensual relationship should not be more than 5 years. मतलब लड़की 16 साल की, लड़का 21 साल का, फिर भी कुछ हद तक चल जाएगा, बट लड़की 16 साल की और लड़का से 25 years of age won't do. The Honorable High Court has said that the difference of age in any consensual relationship when it comes to POXO Act related provisions, मतलब कोई भी दो में से एक व्यक्ति 18 साल से कम उम्र का है या 16 साल की एज के आसपास का है, then certainly the difference in the age should not be more than 5 years. If the girl is of 16 years, the maximum boy's age can be of 21 years. Maximum that it can be. अगर इससे ज्यादा है तो पॉक्सो एक्ट की प्रोविजंस लागू हो जाएंगी. That is to make sure that there is no advantage that is being taken by a person who is much older. Here, POXO Act has made sure that it is gender neutral. Here, POXO Act is not just talking about 16 years of age for girls. It is also girl or a boy. For both, दोनों के लिए. All right, I hope it is clear now. किसी को कोई doubt है up till this point? Any doubt whatsoever that you have up till this point, then you can ask. Anything that you would like to add, anything that you would like to ask, you can always put up a doubt in the chat section. ठीक है जी, कृष्णा जी, दीपक, रोशनी, विक्कू, everybody in the class. चलो. Now, I have to make sure that you guys have a deeper understanding about all the things that we are covering here. Make sure that you follow Sriram sir on Unacademy platform. This is Sriram sir, our beloved sir, and whatever Sriram IAS is bringing to you guys on Unacademy platform, there are multiple things that are happening. एक तो Unacademy UPSC Articulate channel के ऊपर, इसी channel के ऊपर बहुत सारे वीडियो सेशंस हैं जो कि श्रीराम IAS लेकर आते हैं ऑन अनअकैडमी. देन फर्दर देयर इज अ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑप्शनल बैच जो कि बाइलिंगुअल रहने वाला है. बाइलिंगुअल रहने वाला है. मैं इसी तरीके से बात करूंगा, मैं बहुत सिंपल तरीके से एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश करता हूं ताकि आप सब लोगों को समझ में आ जाए चीजें. सो सेम प्रोसेस विल बी एप्लीकेबल फॉर द कोर्स इटसेल्फ एज वेल. The public administration course is about to go live on 31st of July. टाइमिंग जो है लाइव क्लासेस की होती हैं वो इवनिंग्स में होती हैं so that everybody can attend 7 to 9 PM जनरली. ठीक है जी. अच्छा, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट we also are offering another course and that is the mission 1 year for Sriram IAS, which is for 2024. If you're preparing for 2024, then the batches are already started off. Make sure that you use the referral code of SRIRAMS to reduce the fee by 25%. Flat 25% डिस्काउंट हो जाएगा, आपको बेनिफिट हो जाएगा. ऑलराइट, ठीक है जी. चलिए, today that is all that we are going to discuss. In the next class we will continue further. आगे चलेंगे, आगे चर्चा करेंगे. The way we have been covering this mission mains 2023 and your preparation that we are helping you guys out with. We have been focusing every weekend. During the weekdays हमारे और सेशंस होते हैं आंसर राइटिंग से रिलेटेड, GS1, GS2, GS3 से रिलेटेड. During the weekends we are covering current affairs for mains perspective particularly. Make sure that you follow all these sessions. Apart from that, we are also covering special classes in the format of live classes on Unacademy platform. Everything that Shriram's IAS is bringing for us, आप लोगों के लिए वो relevant है, important है. याद रखिएगा इस चीज को और फॉलो करते रहिएगा. Follow me on Unacademy, follow Shriram sir on Unacademy, follow all the entire set of faculties that we have brought up as a team on Unacademy platform. आपको हर एक क्लास को अटेंड करना चाहिए. यू विल रियलाइज द डिफरेंस दैट इट वुड मेक इन योर प्रिपरेशन. ठीक है जी. एंड टिल नेक्स्ट टाइम,